I'm here in Hunter Valley, Australia, and in about 5 minutes, I'm about to run a 5 kilometer race with almost 200 other people. So, I thought this was the perfect time to explain how a human body reacts when you're doing something strenuous, like running a race. Let's take a pause right here because my body has began its preparation for this race even before I took a single step. My nervous system, which deals with involuntary controls, which is called the autonomic nervous system, has already undergone changes. There are two systems of our autonomic nervous system. There's the sympathetic division and there's the parasympathetic division. The sympathetic is the flight or fight division and the parasympathetic is the rest and digest division. So when we are running, our sympathetic system kicks into effect. So we'll do things like our pupil will dilate to take in more light and to analyze our surroundings more. The digestion will stop. Our blood will get redistributed from our digestive organs to all our muscles because digestion is not that important right now. Then our heart rate will increase. The stroke volume or the amount of blood that is pumped by the heart, that will also increase. So all of these changes together make our body even more prepared for this strenuous exercise. Alright, so to do anything, our body needs ATP. ATP is the energy currency of our cell, you might have heard. So the thing is, at any one time, your body only contains about 100 grams of ATP in all of your cells. But if you take the total amount of ATP that you use in a day, it would exceed your own weight. So how is that possible? That's because each gram, each molecule of ATP is used more than 1,000 times every day in your cells. The thing is, at any one given time, there isn't much raw form of ATP in a given cell. So within a few seconds after you start running, the ATP in your cells will deplete quickly. Luckily, our muscle cells have an ATP bank called creatine. So a creatine will react with ATP and become something known as creatine phosphate. Our muscle cells store ATP as creatine phosphate. So for the first few 50 seconds or so, our body will use this creatine phosphate to power our muscles. But this creatine phosphate will also deplete in the first few seconds of running. This creatine supplements are usually useful for athletes who need short and quick bursts of energy, like sprinters. So if you give creatine supplements to a marathon runner, it's not going to do much help because creatine is also going to run out very quickly. After 50 seconds, aerobic and anaerobic glycolysis is what powers our body. What exactly is this aerobic and anaerobic respiration? Your muscle cell has two choices. It can either break down glucose fully into carbon dioxide and water through aerobic respiration. This will require oxygen and is generally slow, but it will generate a lot of ATP. The second choice is that your muscle cell can break glucose into lactic acid through incomplete oxidation. This doesn't generate that much ATP, but it is really fast. So after your phosphocreatine has run out, your muscle cell actually uses anaerobic respiration and builds up lactic acid instead of doing full-on aerobic respiration. And no, it's a misconception that lactic acid buildup will cause muscle cramps. While we aren't sure about the actual reason, the most accepted explanation for cramps is that the muscle tendons that surround the muscle can actually misfire after firing too frequently. Things like electrolyte imbalance and dehydration are thought to accentuate the problem and cause misfirings more often.
and a
Okay.
lot of dehydration in the
Okay.
warmer days. Probably the primary things that they're watching for at a race like this in cooler months is just rolled ankles, grazes,
Okay.
those sorts of things. But we do have a marathon in Newcastle that is in the warmer weather, and it's dehydration just about every time
Okay.
that causes the issues.
Dehydration is a problem because your muscle cells aren't fully efficient. Every 100 calorie that you burn while you're running, only 25 of those is actually used for running. The rest 75 is generated as heat. So to cool our body down, you actually need to sweat a lot. In fact, if you're doing a marathon run, you can lose as high as 1 to 2 liters of water per hour when you're running. Only after 3 to 4 minutes of anaerobic respiration will aerobic respiration actually start. And only after 20 minutes of aerobic respiration or so will your body start to break down fats or proteins or other energy substances. Providing this much oxygen for aerobic respiration is a huge task. That's why your ventilatory rate will increase from 6 liters to 150 liters when you're running. That's a 30 times increase. Your cardiac output will also increase from 6 liters to 30-40 liters when you're running. It means that your heart will pump enough blood in a minute when you're running to fill a bathtub. Now, this cardiac output is just the amount of blood that your heart is pumping in a minute. To get that, you can multiply the stroke volume, which is the amount of blood that your heart pumps in one beat, with the heart rate. When you're running, almost 85% of this cardiac output will be used by your skeletal muscles. But if you take the heart rate of an elite athlete, it won't increase that much when they are running. And the reason is the heart muscles of elite athletes are much better suited for pumping out blood. They can pump more blood in one beat, so their stroke volume is big. And if that is big, they can afford a lower heart rate and still get the same cardiac output. Alright, so at this point, I was running for about 20 minutes and suddenly something amazing happened. I got a sudden feeling that running became effortless. This phenomenon is called runner's high and it's caused by a chemical named anandamide. The molecule gets its name from the Sanskrit word ananda, meaning bliss. Anandamide works by binding with the cannabinoid receptors that are present in your brain. Yes, cannabinoid receptors. Cannabis also works using the same pathway. It's actually a really popular misconception that runner's high is actually caused by endorphins. However, that's an oversimplification.
Exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy.
Objection, Your Honor. In 2015, researchers did a study on mice. They let mice run until they showed the classic signs of runner's high. The mice showed lower anxiety and lower symptoms of stress. Then they gave them naloxone, which is a drug that blocks endorphin receptors. If endorphins were actually responsible, the runner's high of these mice should have disappeared. But it didn't. Next, they gave the mice a chemical which blocks the anandamide receptors. But this time after running, the runner's high of these mice vanished. They showed higher amounts of stress and higher amounts of cortisol. And then we concluded that it's anandamide which gives the runner the runner's high. But what gives the race director an runner's high? So, what do you like the most about this?
For me, the greatest thing is seeing first timers cross that finish line with a big smile on their face. That makes it for me. I mean, the winners are fantastic. I'm in awe of their ability, their
Yeah.
sporting ability, and the fact that they get the commitment to being that fast. But for me, it's first timers crossing the finish line.